The things that crush a narcissist's ego, a psychological journey into the void. The inner world of a narcissist is often misunderstood. From the outside, it can look like confidence, self-love, even superiority. But beneath the surface, their reality is far more fragile. It is not built on genuine self-acceptance. It is built on illusion. Picture a vast house of mirrors, carefully arranged so every reflection flatters, every angle reassures, and every visitor is meant to admire what they see. That house does not rest on solid ground. It floats above a deep, lightless ocean of insecurity and unresolved shame. And on some level, the narcissist knows this. They live in constant fear that the mirrors might crack, because without them, there is nothing underneath to hold them up. This is why crushing a narcissist's ego is not about insults, arguments, or proving them wrong. Those things often energize them. What truly destabilizes them are the moments when the mirrors stop working, when the reflections disappear or begin to tell the truth. In those moments, the illusion collapses, and the narcissist is forced to confront the emptiness they have spent their entire life running from. Understanding this is not about revenge. It is about understanding the mechanics of their survival, so you can step out of the wreckage and reclaim your life. 1. The death of validation, the power of indifference. The most vital fuel in a narcissist's world is validation, what psychology often calls narcissistic supply. Attention feeds them. Admiration sustains them. Even fear or hatred can work, because strong emotion still confirms their importance. What they cannot tolerate is indifference. Being ignored does not merely hurt their feelings. It threatens their sense of existence. When you stop reacting, when you move into no contact or become emotionally unreachable through something like the gray rock approach, the supply begins to starve. There is no argument to feed on, no emotional response to twist, no mirror reflecting their false self back at them. And that absence is crushing. Without a witness, the narcissist struggles to feel real. From a psychological perspective, this reaction is rooted in a lack of object constancy. Many narcissists cannot maintain a stable emotional connection to others unless that person is actively responding to them. When you stop engaging, it's as though you vanish from their inner world. The reflection goes dark. This creates what is known as a narcissistic injury, often followed by desperate, hoovering attempts or sudden, explosive rage. For you, the goal is not punishment. The goal is neutrality. When you become boring, unresponsive, and emotionally unavailable, the relationship loses its drama. And without drama, the narcissist eventually moves on in search of another mirror. 2. The unveiling, when the mask slips in public. If validation is their fuel, then their public image is their armor. Narcissists invest enormous energy into crafting a persona that appears charming, successful, and morally superior. Because they cannot regulate their own self-worth internally, they rely entirely on external perception to define who they are. This is why public exposure, especially in front of people they admire, fear, or need, can be devastating. When the mask slips, their ego doesn't bruise, it fractures. Being seen for who they truly are bypasses their defenses and forces them to confront themselves through the eyes of others. For a narcissist, that moment is unbearable. Psychologically, this triggers what is often called a shame, rage spiral. Healthy people experience guilt. I did something wrong. Narcissists experience shame. I am something wrong. To escape that feeling, they frequently rewrite reality, projecting their own behavior onto you and launching smear campaigns to discredit the source of the exposure. For survivors, this phase can feel frightening and destabilizing. The instinct to defend yourself publicly is understandable, but often unnecessary. Narcissists unravel on their own. The safest path is documentation, quiet consistency, and staying grounded in truth with a small circle of people who truly know you. Over time, their increasingly erratic behavior becomes the loudest evidence of all. In the end, the deepest victory is not watching their ego collapse. It is reaching the point where their collapse no longer matters to you. As you withdraw your energy, your reactions, and your need for validation from them, something remarkable happens. Your nervous system begins to calm. Your identity starts to return. While they continue to rebuild their world on fragile mirrors, you step back onto solid ground, no longer responsible for holding their illusion together, and finally free to live in reality. 3. The boundary of iron. The word no. For a narcissist, boundaries are not healthy expressions of selfhood. They are not lines drawn in self-respect. Boundaries feel like rebellion. They feel like defiance. In the narcissist's inner world, the people closest to them are not fully separate beings. They are extensions, instruments meant to reflect, serve, and comply. So when you finally stand still, breathe deeply, and say a calm, unwavering no, something fundamental breaks inside them. That single word disrupts their sense of omnipotence. It announces that you have a will of your own, that you are not movable furniture in their emotional house. To them, this doesn't feel like healthy disagreement. It feels like betrayal. They cannot comprehend why something they believed they controlled has suddenly stopped responding. In their mind, tools do not refuse. Objects do not assert autonomy. And yet, here you are, no longer bending. Psychologically, this reaction is rooted in narcissistic entitlement. At a deep level, they believe rules are for other people. Limits are for lesser beings. When you enforce a boundary, what you are really saying is, you are not above me. And to a narcissist, that message is intolerable. They will scramble to regain control using familiar weapons, gaslighting, guilt, emotional word salad, sudden vulnerability, or manufactured crises designed to pull you back into compliance. This is why boundaries only work when they are backed by action. A boundary without a consequence is merely a suggestion, and narcissists treat suggestions as invitations to push harder. When you say no, you must be willing to leave the room, end the call, stop the conversation, or walk away entirely, not as punishment, but as self-protection. Over time, your consistency teaches them something they never learned in childhood. Their tactics no longer work here. And more importantly, it teaches you that you are capable of protecting your own inner world. For the mirror of truth, being held accountable. A narcissist survives by editing reality. In their version of events, they are never the villain. If you were hurt, it was misunderstood. If they crossed a line, you provoked it. If damage was done, it was somehow necessary. This psychological defense is known as splitting, the rigid belief that they are all good, while anyone who challenges them becomes all bad. It is how they preserve their fragile self-image. When you bring facts into the room, screenshots, messages, recordings, timelines, you are no longer arguing feelings. You are presenting reality, and that reality acts like a mirror they cannot control. Looking into it forces them to confront a version of themselves that contradicts the heroic narrative in their mind. The tension this creates is called cognitive dissonance, and for a narcissist, it is agonizing. They cannot hold, I am good and I caused harm in the same space. Because their emotional development is often arrested early in life, they lack the capacity for true accountability. Apologizing would require humility, empathy, and self-reflection, skills they never learned. So instead of saying, I was wrong, they deflect. They minimize. They rewrite history. You're too sensitive. That never happened. You're exaggerating. These responses are not debates. They are survival mechanisms. Healing begins the moment you stop waiting for them to acknowledge the truth. Closure will not come from their mouth. It comes from your clarity. When you document what happened and trust your own memory, you anchor yourself in reality. And when they try to gaslight you, you no longer drift, you stand firm, grounded in what you know to be true. 5. Your success, the pain of your independence. There is a quiet cruelty built into narcissistic relationships, one that often takes people a long time to name. They want you to shine, but only in a way that reflects back onto them. Your success is welcome as long as it decorates their image, as long as it makes them look impressive by association. The moment your growth starts to belong to you, the moment it gives you confidence, independence, or options, something inside them tightens. Your forward movement becomes a threat. When you begin to thrive, maybe you earn a promotion, start taking care of your body again, rediscover your confidence, or build a life that doesn't revolve around them. The narcissist feels it like a quiet alarm going off. Your progress reminds them of the places they are stuck, the emptiness they keep outrunning. Instead of celebrating you, they may subtly undermine you, criticize your goals, or sabotage your big moments. A fight erupts right before an important event. A sarcastic comment lands right after you share good news. What should be joy is met with tension because your independence signals that you might one day realize you no longer need them. Psychologically, this is rooted in pathological envy. The narcissist's self-worth operates on a zero-sum system. If you gain, they lose. They cannot sit in genuine happiness for someone else because your light casts a shadow over their inner fragility. And yet, this is one of the clearest signs that you are reclaiming your power. Their discomfort is not proof that you are doing something wrong. It is proof that you are outgrowing the cage they built around you. Let your success be your quiet exit plan. Surround yourself with people who clap when you win, who don't compete with your joy. When a narcissist tries to dim your light, they are confessing without words that they feel smaller in its presence. 6. The discarded controller. When you leave first. In the narcissist's mind, they are the author of every ending. They decide when love begins, when it fades, and when it is withdrawn. They take pride in discarding others once they feel finished with them, once the supply has dried up or resistance begins. Control, to them, is the ultimate reassurance. So when you are the one who walks away, when you close the door without waiting for permission, it lands like a psychological earthquake. Leaving first strips them of the final word, and for someone obsessed with dominance, that loss is devastating. Suddenly, they are the one left behind, the one rejected, the one without leverage. This is when the mask often reappears in its most convincing form. The apologies come flooding in. The vulnerability looks real. Promises are made, tears are shed, and in extreme cases, threats are used to pull you back. This is not love resurfacing. It is panic. They need to regain control of the narrative, to be the one who ends it on their terms. Clinically, this phase is known as the extinction burst, a last, desperate escalation of behavior when a familiar source of control is slipping away. It can be emotionally exhausting and deeply confusing for the person leaving. This is why grounding yourself in your why is essential. You are not abandoning something good. You are stepping out of a system designed to drain you. Staying firm is not cruelty. It is survival. When you leave first, you are not just ending a relationship. You are interrupting a cycle that would have consumed you piece by piece. 7. The new supply, being replaced by someone better in their mind. Eventually, the narcissist will move on, and they will make sure you see it. A new partner appears, glowing on social media, framed as everything they were supposedly missing before. The message is subtle, but sharp. Look how happy I am now. Look how easily I replaced you. This is not coincidence. It is performance. The goal is to reopen your wounds, to make you question your worth, to convince you that you were always the problem. But beneath the surface, nothing has changed. To the narcissist, this new person is not a soulmate. They are a fresh source of validation, a new battery to keep the illusion alive. And just like before, the cracks will form. Idealization will give way to devaluation. The same patterns will repeat because the problem was never you, it was the structure of how they attach to others. Psychologically, this is narcissistic objectification. They do not love people as individuals. They love what people provide. Watching this can be deeply painful, especially if it triggers old insecurities or self-doubt. This is where radical acceptance becomes your shield. The new partner is not your replacement. They are simply next in line. Every smiling photo is staged. Every declaration of happiness is part of the same cycle you escaped. Your real victory is not being chosen again. It is being free. While the narcissist remains trapped in an endless loop of seeking perfection and never finding it, you are the one who broke the pattern. You are the one who got away. 8. The silence, the void of no contact. There comes a moment when words finally run out, not because you have nothing left to say, but because you have said everything that mattered to yourself. This is where absolute silence begins. No messages, no explanations, no checking, no reacting. For a narcissist, this kind of silence is not neutral, it is devastating. It is the sound of a door closing so completely that even the echo disappears. When they can no longer reach you through late-night texts, mutual friends, fake concern, or carefully staged social media posts, they are left alone with the one thing they have spent their entire life avoiding: themselves. A narcissist does not fear loneliness the way most people do. They fear the void beneath it, the empty, unregulated inner world that needs constant external input to feel real. Your silence removes the mirror they relied on to see themselves as powerful, admired, or important. Psychologically, this can trigger what clinicians describe as narcissistic collapse. Without validation, the false self begins to crumble. Some sink into depression, others act out recklessly, chasing stimulation or chaos just to feel something again. None of this is your responsibility. While they unravel in the absence of supply, something entirely different is happening for you. In the quiet, you begin to return to yourself. The noise fades. The confusion loosens its grip. You start to hear your own thoughts without interruption, without being contradicted or rewritten. The manipulation becomes clearer. The gaslighting loses its power. This silence is not cruelty, it is self-preservation. Every day you maintain it, you are rebuilding your nervous system, restoring your sense of reality, and laying another brick in the foundation of a life that no longer revolves around someone else's dysfunction. 9. The resurrection, finding joy without them. And then, slowly, something extraordinary happens. You start to feel moments of peace that are not followed by anxiety. You laugh without scanning the room for their reaction. You make choices without fear of punishment or withdrawal. This is the stage the narcissist never anticipates. Your joy without them. Nothing wounds their ego more deeply because it dismantles the core fantasy they lived by, that they were essential, irreplaceable, the axis your world spun around. When they realize that you are not just surviving but genuinely living, it confronts them with an unbearable truth. They were never the source of your happiness. They were never the reason you mattered. Your peace exposes their irrelevance, and your healing proves that the trauma bond has finally loosened its grip. Psychologically, this is known as post-traumatic growth, the ability to build a stronger, more grounded self after profound emotional harm. It is not about becoming hardened or bitter. It is about becoming whole. This is where your energy belongs now. In your body, in your friendships, in the parts of yourself that went quiet just to keep the peace. You return to old passions or discover new ones. You rebuild trust in yourself. And one day, almost without realizing it, you notice that they no longer occupy your inner world at all. Not with anger, not with longing, not even with curiosity. That is the real victory. You didn't destroy them. You simply outgrew the need to be seen by someone who never truly saw you. A final word for the survivor. Healing from narcissistic abuse is not neat or predictable. Some days you will feel strong and clear. Other days, the grief will return without warning. This does not mean you are failing. It means you are human. Understanding the psychology behind the narcissist's ego helps you release the illusion that their behavior was about your worth. It never was. It was about their terror of shame, exposure, and emptiness. You were not the problem. You were the mirror they used to avoid themselves. And now that the mirror is gone, you are no longer required to reflect anything back to them. You are free to live, to feel, and to become who you were always meant to be, without distortion, without fear, and without looking back.